Light is life. Dirty pants, clean body. Dirty pants, clean body.
I couldn't agree more. Good evening, darlings, and a very warm welcome to Wednesday Night Live with me coming live into your eyes and ears direct from Windy Bottom, here in the Peak District National Park. Now then, how are you, darlings? How has your day been? What have you got to tell me? What should we talk about tonight? I mean, obviously, I want to know how your day went. I'd like to hear the highlights. I'd like to hear the lowlights. I desperately want to know what you've eaten today. Who's the most... Start early. Who is the most interesting person that you encountered today? And what did you talk about? How did you feel when you got up? What did you have for breakfast? And how many poos have you had so far? Bearing in mind that there's still 54 minutes to squeeze another one in, should you so wish. Right, let's crack on with it, shall we? Sophie is here. The lovely Sophie Richardson says, hi, everyone. Barry is here and greets me in Welsh and obviously calls me a tosser. Because why wouldn't you? Good evening, Barry. Thank you for joining us. Joe Cox, the lovely Joe, is with us. How are we all doing on this fine evening? Oh, and again, Barry is driving, so he's going to be doing more listening than talking. Except that last time he said that, he rattled all the way through it. Clear the poop deck, says Simon, who is also in our midst. That's Smashing Pistons, of course. A splendid YouTube channel, and one that I would heartily commend to your attention and potential interest. Adam is here, pure evil. Is that in preparation for it hitting the fan? And also good evening to everyone. Pingu is here, the lovely, wonderful, marvellous Mr. Concord. And he appears to be having a Tiffany moment. I think we're alone now. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. Now, what's the difference between Pingu Concord and Tiffany Darwish? Well, the one difference I can think of is I've never seen Pingu naked, whereas I've seen Tiffany very naked indeed. And a splendid sight it was too. Oh dear. Knock knock, says Simon, and we'll come back to that. No swearing, please, says Barry. Ashley is with us, Ashley Stewart, of course. And Joe would like to take issue with with the introduction. And he argues that actually clean pants equal a clean body, rather than the introduction, which claimed, of course, that dirty pants mean clean body. Neil is with us, Sophie's other half, and a gentleman very much in his own right, I think you'll find. A very hard-working and knowledgeable chap. And he says, hello all, hope you're well. The wonderful Mad Mike is here, Mad Mike Motors, aka Classic Wheels Wiles, and says, evening Jason, you massive tosser, and good evening humans. You know, that's that's my showing his affection as only he can. I quite like being you people's tosser of choice. Steve Holg is with us. Simon has only just realised that he can mute the triggering song until he sees me sit down. That took a while. Pingu is also jumping onto the pants argument, and he's saying that dirty pants equal a dirty boaty. Bad Books is here, says good evening all. Frank is with us and says evening boaty. Good evening to you, Frank. Skick is here, and he weighs in with one of his trademark questions. What gives you the motivation, asked Skick, to do these live chats? Well, partly it's the company, partly it's the thought that I'm helping to create community, but mostly it's the money and the fame, Skick, to be perfectly honest with you. Simon says, he's having a fun. Right, Simon has weighed in with a very, very excellent Father Ted reference, which for full effect needs to be done in a cod Irish accent. Boaty, I hear you're a tosser now, Father. What's the FSM stance? I'm not sure I have the time to dedicate myself to being a full-time tosser. What is the FSM stance on tossers? Well, I suppose that he's in favour of them. I mean, he's a bit of a tosser himself, and he has created us in his own image. So I would oh, apparently I'm the toss father. So I imagine the FSM would be completely and fully in favour. Rover Joe is here. That's a lovely treat. Good evening to you, Joe. Oh dear. I can guarantee to you, Reverend Boaty, that will never happen, says Pingu. And that is in reference to my having seen Tiffany naked, but not having seen him naked. And quite frankly, the reassurance that I will never see Pingu naked is quite comforting in my book. I was in a bit of a rush tonight. I was a little bit late leaving. Excuse me. I don't know who's living around here now, but the number of cars on the street has increased. I had to park because Miss Boo is still in pole position. And I was in Shison tonight, and I had to park poor Shison right down by the bus stop. A long old walk when you're carrying shopping and lavatory paper. I did buy lavatory paper tonight, darlings. I bought a pack of 4, which I can't show you because I've already taken it upstairs. I was desperate for a wee when I got home, so I pretty much went straight upstairs and I took the toilet paper with me. And again, I didn't buy my first choice. I was tempted to Sainsbury's own brand because they offered me 150 bonus nectar points if I bought it, and 50 pence off the asking price. So for those 2 reasons, I was in. What have Madonna and toilet paper got in common? They both get into the groove. Thank you so much. I'm here all week. How are you doing, Boaty? Asked Joe. And Joe, thank you for asking. And I am well. Thank you very much. And I very much hope that you are too. Life is being quite kind to me at the moment, ish, relatively. I mean, I can't grumble. I mean, I'm old, I'm knackered, I'm fit for nothing. I'm physically and mentally falling apart. And I'm living in abject poverty. But hey ho, every day is a blessing. every day can be a bowl of angel delight if you try and make it so. And I've never eaten angel delight, and I'm pretty sure I wouldn't like it. But now that I'm talking about that, I have got an urge to eat some jelly. I haven't had jelly for a long time either, and I don't think that jelly goes with ice cream. I know it's a thing, jelly and ice cream, but I don't think that jelly and ice cream are a good combination. I like ice cream. I like jelly, although I haven't had either for a long time. And do you know what I really fancy? Now, I don't fancy jelly at all. What I fancy is one of those rectangular blocks of a nice Cornish ice cream. And you get your knife and you run it under the hot tap. Shake it so that it's dry, and then you cut through the ice cream so you've got a brick of ice cream, and then you get those wafers. Do they still sell them? And you make like an ice cream sandwich with the wafer either side. I haven't had this for years and I so want it now. I'm going to buy this tomorrow if they still sell the wafers. And then you like hold it like that and you lick away. Oh, that looks so wrong. I do apologise. But you hold. How can I do this any other way without it looking spectacularly obscene? You've got your ice cream sandwich like that, and basically you hold it and you lick at the inside of the ice cream, and you rotate the thing and you keep licking away until it gradually gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and the edges of the wafer get all lovely and soggy, and eventually you end up when you've licked enough of the ice cream away, and when the sandwich is getting a bit smaller and you've kind of licked away around all the edges and it's all in the middle, you can squidge down the wafers like that so the ice cream comes out to the edge, and then you can lick it all again, and you keep going with that. How long it takes depends on how big a brick of ice cream you put in there in the first place. But you keep doing that, and you keep compressing the two wafers, and eventually you end up with like a frozen toasty, is the best way I can describe it. Do you remember those toasty makers that everybody had and nobody used? They just lived under the sink for years and years and years. You used them once, and then you never used them again. And you probably made baked beans, maybe with cheese if you're a cheeser. And you would have made this, and you put your bread on there and you put your baked beans in the middle, and you clamp this thing down and you turn it on, and then about an hour and a half later you take it out and you've got this like sealed toasty, and you think, oh, that looks fabulous, and you bite into it, and then you go to hospital because the internals, the baked beans or the cheese and beans or the peas or whatever you put into this wretched thing, are about the same temperature as the surface of the sun. And so, you get immediately taken to hospital with third-degree internal burns, and your responsible adult puts the contraption under the sink, and it stays there forever and ever and ever until you die or move house. Or the bailiffs come. But the point is that if you imagine that toasty, all crimped around the edges so the ravenously hot baked beans can't escape. Well, that's what your ice cream wafer ends up being. By now it's going to be about that thick, right? And you crimp down all of the edges like your toasty, and then you've just got this enclosed ice cream wafer, and that's wonderful. And if you're young, like I used to be, you just bite into it, and it's one of the best things that you'll ever eat. Although I imagine I couldn't do that now because the few teeth that I have left at my advanced age are somewhat sensitive. And I imagine that if I were to bite into naked ice cream just with gay and carefree abandon, then I imagine the sudden onset of pain would be such that I would drop down in an immediate faint, which given my current status of living alone, wouldn't be too much of a problem, as long as I didn't hit my head on anything on the way down. But you only have to go back a relatively short space of time, and it would have been a massive problem, because if I went down on the floor in a full-on faint and Chinese madam was here, she would have mounted me. She was not a woman to waste an opportunity. So there you are. And the moral of this story is that it is a cautionary tale. Beware of eating an ice cream wafer in the way that I've just described if you have sensitive teeth, because you will end up being mounted by a young, beautiful and very frisky Chinese woman. So, you know, you've been warned. That's all I can say to you. Now, where did I get to? Oh yeah, Pinga was telling me I'm never going to see him naked, and that really is a relief. Neil says, I unfortunately have seen Boaty naked. It's true, he has. And I'm still visiting the therapist for that very reason. Sorry about that, Neil. Hashtag not sorry. Skick has got another. I love Skick's questions. Skick, your questions are great. Ask me as many as you like and I'll answer them all. Skick asks, if you had the chance to be a main car dealership, what car company would you choose for their product to sell? What an interesting question. Let's see. Oh gosh. Probably, it would definitely be Italian. It would 100% be Italian. And it wouldn't be Ferrari. It would be Maserati or Lamborghini. And I think off the top of my head, without doing any research, I think it would probably be Maserati. Yep, I will go with Maserati. Which of your steeds have you been out riding today, Boats? Asked Pingu. Shison. I've been out in Shison today. Of course, jelly and ice cream is a good combination, says Simon, and calls me a tosser. Yeah, but it isn't, is it? Mike says 1996 Ford Maverick diesel long wheelbase, 2 owners, full service history, tosser. Well, what about the Ford Maverick diesel long wheelbase, which has had 2 owners with full service history? I mean, what, do you want to talk about it? I mean, they're a terrible car. A Ford Maverick, for those who don't know, is a badge engineered Nissan Terrano. Now they're not a bad off-road car, and I will admit I've owned 2. Well, technically I've owned 1. I've owned because I've owned a Ford Maverick and a Nissan Terrano. They were both short wheelbase, and I had them both at my cottage in Wales, where I used them for tramping over the beacons. And they're not the worst off-road car, to be fair, but they're a pretty lousy car on road. And the long wheelbase just looks awful. The short wheelbase, I don't mind the look of. I actually think it looks almost quite nice. The long wheelbase, awful. The only car I can think of that would be worse would be the Vauxhall Frontera. Undoubtedly one of the worst cars that has ever been manufactured. I'll have the Cornish ice cream, says Barry. Wafer is gross. Wafer is not gross. Wafer around Cornish ice cream is a tremendously wonderful thing. I mean, a wafer is just a cone in a different shape. You can't argue with a nice cream cone. What's the matter with you? So what did everybody get up to doing today, asked Joe. I can't answer for everybody, Joe. I can answer for me, but I'm not going to, because it's in the daily diary and I don't want to spoil the surprise. Breville, That was the one, Mike. Yes, Breville. The Breville sandwich toaster. Everybody had one. You got given one as a wedding gift or a housewarming gift or a Christmas gift from somebody who didn't like you. And you used it once, you ended up in hospital and it went under the sink. I bet you, any of you who've lived in your house for more than 20 years, or who live in a family home that has been occupied for more than 20 years, have a look under the sink. I guarantee you there will be a Breville sandwich toaster. 100% guaranteed. Sandwich toaster, says Simon. Mr. Frosty, anyone, says Pingu. Here we go, says Mike. More toss. Stop complaining, you got in for nothing, didn't you? It's not like I charged for this. I attempted this with Nutella once, says Adam. Took a while to cool down to safe levels. Oh, we're talking toasty. Yeah, toasty danger. It doesn't matter what you put in a toasty, it ends up the same temperature as the surface of the sun. I used to toasty about once a month, says Simon, who is of course lying. He did it once and he never did it again. And his sandwich toaster is under his sink. I know this because I've been to his house. Not once did I see him make a toasty. Adam says, my old one I used until the non-stick wore off. Endless cheese toasties. Again, he's lying. He used it once. Rob is here. Mr. Fanny. Good evening all. Sorry I'm late. I was releasing another hedgehog tonight. Another one saved. For those of you who don't know Rob, why does this thing only ever appear during a live stream? Buzzy little swine. Rob lives in what is to all intents and purposes a hedgehog sanctuary. He has a bespoke hedgehog hotel immediately outside his abode, and that is fully equipped with CCTV. And if he spots a hedgehog in need of attention, he rescues it and he takes it 2.5 hours away to Tewkesbury, to the hedgehog hospital. And he's often done this at like 11 o'clock at night. And they will restore the hedgehog to full health, possibly amputate one of its limbs, as was necessary on one hedgehog. And he will then return when they've called him to tell him that the hedgehog is ready. He will then return to Tewkesbury, 2.5 hours away, retrieve the hedgehog and put it back from whence it came, because hedgehogs can only operate on their own patch. You can't remove them and put them somewhere else. They won't cope with it. So that kind of tells you all you need to know about Rob, doesn't it? I mean, what a lovely chap. Oh, and, hang on. Oh, Mike, bugger off. Rob, have you broken down yet? Of course he hasn't. It's not like he bought a car off you, Mike. He bought one off me and Mustard. So you know that car is not going to give him an ounce of trouble for at least the next 20 years. Oh, yeah, name the live stream. Remember, it is your job, your sacred duty, to name tonight's live stream. Make it funny, make it pissy, make it weird, make it interesting. Do not make it filthy. Pingu says, beware of frisky Chinese women and ice cream. And that is good advice to live by. Now you're talking a real load of toss, says Mike, who seems to be surprised. And yet, Mike has watched every single live stream that I've ever done, well naked, and he still seems to be surprised that I talk a load of old rubbish. Wafer tastes like cardboard, yuck. Well, a dry wafer does, I will give you that. But a wafer that's been infused with Cornish ice cream is wonderfully soggy. Feature number 2, name things that are better soggy. I'm going to start you off with ice cream wafers, chips, proper chip shop chips, and the nether regions of Donna Louise Tranter. There you go. That's my starter for 10, or my 3 starters for 10. Rob says, I haven't broken down yet, Mike, but I haven't used Fanny today, though. I do love a cheese toasty, says Black Lines, somewhat plaintively. Gosh, there appears to be more love for the toasty than I envisaged there possibly could be. I mean, are you all speaking nostalgically, or do any of you use a toasty, sandwich toaster, in the present tense? As in, you know, you'd have one today or tomorrow or next week, or you had one within the last 3 days. I bet you haven't. I can't think of anything that I would like in a toasty. And toasted ham sandwich, what's all that about? I mean, that's completely wrong. Oh, that's nice. Mike points out, quite rightly, I'm a member, you massive tosser. I do pay for this, like everyone else. Oh, and then ads except Matt. Yeah, exactly. Oh, bless him, lovely Matt. I do hope he's okay. But yeah, you've got a good point there, Mike. God, and you call me a tosser, Mike, and you're paying good money to watch a fat old bloke wobble on about how to eat bloody ice cream and the dangers of sensitive teeth and being podgered by exotic dusky Asian beauties. I need to spend some time with Mike to catch... Oh no, I can't talk about that. That wouldn't be fair, would it? I hope you're getting plenty, Mike. I'll just say that. I'm sure you are. Are you a lower class member, though, says Black Lines? Well, no, Mike isn't. Mike definitely isn't. Skick says, oh, good, another question from Skick. I love these. I'm going to prepare myself for this. I like to get myself well and truly worked up for Skick's questions. It's like foreplay, you know? You enjoy it more after the foreplay because of the anticipation. It's like having to queue an hour for a roller coaster. You enjoy it more when you finally get on it. Well, that's what Skick's questions are like. Here, I'm so sorry. Here we go. Is it going to be a real thing, selling cars with mustard? And have you thought of the problems of selling used cars, i.e. warranties, etc.? Well, yes, it is already a real thing, Skick, selling cars with mustard. Have we thought of the problems? Yes. Have we thought of warranties? No. Sold as seen in the dark, says Black Lines. Oh, and Mike says definitely they haven't. We were talking about it only the other day, as it goes. We actually had, off camera, of course, we had quite an in-depth conversation. Went on for a couple of hours. Hey all, says Ross, Dinosaur Dad. Toasty for me was banana, you see, was. Past tense, note that. Nobody has eaten a toasty in the last 10 years. Toasty for me was banana and peanut butter. Had the temperature of molten lava. Yes, it does. Anything in a toasty is hotter than Hades. Rob says, oh, thanks, Boaty and all. I do whatever I can to help the little critters, and God bless you for that. I thoroughly approve of that sort of thing. Rob and I were talking about this on the journey over. I like people, but I've probably got more compassion for animals than I have for people, generally, on the whole. I cannot abide cruelty to animals. I liked one of David Niven's stories when he was in the army, because David Niven used to be in the army, you know, before he became a world famous stud and actor. And he was with his commanding officer when he was an officer cadet. And I forget which country they were in, but they were somewhere and somebody had a pony and trap and was whipping the pony. And the commanding officer said, "I'm not having that," ran over to him, hoiked the guy off the cart, and he was carrying a swagger cane, if you know what a swagger cane is. And he put this guy across his knee. I mean, talk about public school. He put this guy across his knee, gave him 6 of the best with his swagger cane, and asked him, "How do you like it, you rotten swine? Stop hitting your horse." And I just love that. I mean, I love the idea of a bit of instant karma and justice, but I love the idea that, you know, a grown officer, a grown man, would put another grown man across his knee like a naughty child and give him 6 of the best with his swagger cane. I think that was brilliant. Video title from Mike. Another load of shite and toss. Yeah, well, you'd call them all that, wouldn't you? Tiffany and chocolate biscuits, asked Pingu. Now, there's an interesting combination. Tiffany and chocolate biscuits, I would say no, quite honestly. Not a combination I would go for. You know, if I had to combine Tiffany, presume, you know, quite possibly naked, and the food, I would go for Tiffany. I would go for battered sausage and curry sauce. Yeah, I would, if she rang me and said, "Hey Boaty, it's Tiffany, I'm naked, why don't you come round and bring some food?" I would say, "Right you are, Tiff, see you in a moment." And I would go to the chip shop and I would order 2 large battered sausages. I'd have salt and vinegar applied to them, and they would be wrapped up in paper, because it's an old-fashioned chip shop, rolled up like that, and that would be one lovely hot steamy package with the aroma of malt vinegar coming off it. And then I would also order 2 large pots of curry sauce. Right? Oh yes. Oh yeah. And they would be in their things, and they would put those into a white paper bag. Chip shops always use white paper bags, don't they? And I don't know why, when brown is arguably the more common colour. But chip shops always use white, and you know, I'm quite happy to support them in that. And they would put the 2 curry sauces in the white bag, and then they'd scrunch up the top and twiddle the ends, wouldn't they? Because chip shops know how to do that sort of thing. And then I would head off to Tiffany's place. And I'd let myself in because she would have left the door open, but then I would have been careful to lock the door afterwards. And obviously she would be upstairs and I wouldn't want to alarm her. So I'd shout, "Hi love," and she'd shout down in an American accent, "Hey honey," and I'd go upstairs and, you know, she'd be there all sorts of naked on the bed, and I would just engage her in polite conversation whilst disrobing myself. And when I was in a similar state of well, you know, quite frankly, nudity, I would jump onto the bed next to old Tiff and I would fluff her cushions. I'd say, "Lean forward, darling." You know, I'm allowed to call her darling. We've got that kind of relationship. And what I would do is I would fluff up her 2 pillows and I would place them in an inverted V formation, right? So that she could nestle back like that and have support from the 2 cushions just like that. So she'd be all comfy wumpy. Then I'd do my own pillows, like that. And then we would unwrap the battered sausages. Yes, we would. No, we wouldn't. No, we wouldn't. First of all, we would unwrap the curry sauce. And I'd give her one pot. I'd take the other pot. And then I'd take the white paper bag that we don't need anymore. And I'd scrunch that up and I'd pop that on the bedside cabinet using my left arm, because I'd be on the left-hand side of the bed. You know, what with being left-handed and all. And then I'd hand her her pot of curry sauce. We've both got a large one, remember? God, that sounded wrong as well, didn't it? And we would remove the lid and we would lick out the inside of the lid of the curry sauce to just see how good that batch of curry sauce was. And we'd look at each other and say, oh, yeah, that's a good one. And she would say, Boaty, unleash the sausage. And I would do nothing less. I would unwrap that lovely, lovely ovalized package slowly and almost sensuously. And I would unroll it and unroll it. And then those two battered sausages that had been steaming in their salt and vinegar would be sitting there in the greaseproof paper in all of their magnificence. And Tiffany would reach over to her side of the bed and she would bring out the sausage towels, the his and her matching pair of highly powered sausage towels. And we would both place our sausage towels over our laps and we would each take our battered sausage and our pot of curry sauce. And we'd look at each other and go, oh yeah, yeah. We know how to live. We are living the life that other people can only dream of. And first of all, I'm not going to lie to you, we would take a sip of our curry sauce direct from the carton, and then we'd look at each other again, right in the eyes. And then we would have a little bite. We would bite off the end of the sausage and batter, right, the very end, because extra batter on the end bit, right? You're getting maximum batter on that bit. And we'd bite that off, but before we started chewing it, another swig of curry sauce. And then we would chew and blend the magnificence of battered sausage with curry sauce. And while we're chewing, and this is the most intimate that two human beings can be, while we're chewing, we'd look each other in the eyes again and sigh. Oh. And then we'd just go for it. It would be battered sausage in one hand, into the old curry sauce. And bear in mind, we've taken a couple of sips of curry sauce, right? And the reason we've done that is because if you don't take some sips out your curry sauce first and you put your battered sausage in, the curry sauce is going to overflow in it. But you've taken a couple of sips, haven't you? So, you know, a couple of good mouthfuls. So it's perfectly safe. And you can dip the battered sausage in and then just, oh God, magnificent. And you would just work that sausage all the way down to the end. And then when you'd finished, then one of you, whoever was for that particular episode, taking charge of the battered sausage, you would wipe your chops with the greaseproof paper, and then you would hand it over to the other, and they would wipe their chops, and you'd look at each other again, and then the paper would be scrumpled up, and then you would just shuffle in a bit together, because you've no longer got a battered sausage and curry sauce between you, and hold each other for a while whilst you savoured that battered sausage and curry sauce, and the wonderfulness of that, and the wonderfulness of the two of you being together. And then in due course, obviously, you would administer a moderate to severe pottering upon each other's person. And not a chocolate biscuit in sight. Black Line says, cheese toasty lined with hot Branston pickle is supreme cuisine. Adam says, I may have to make a toasty now to prove my dedication. I bet you don't. Mike says, yes, I do, all the time. Toasty ham and cheese, you tosser. I don't believe you. I don't believe any of you. Pingu says, I had a cheese and chorizo toasty, you flash bugger, yesterday. I don't believe this. Stigbürt is having a laugh. Simone says, Boaty, were you demonetized yesterday? No, Simone, I wasn't. So thank you all for that. And good evening, by the way. Stream name from Barry, cogitating an ice cream. I'll screenshot that. Simone says, how do? Rob says, Boaty gave me a 24-hour guarantee with Fanny. Bloody hell, did I? Was I pissed? I had cheese and crackers for tea, says Simone. Now, there was a period in my life where my go-to supper was cream crackers with butter, naturally, pickled onions and crisps. Thank God I've moved on from those days. And if you're worried about supper tonight, it's in the saucepan over there. Oh, and there's some supper stuff on today's Daily Diary. Now, there's a way to tell if somebody is Welsh or not. Do you mind? Thank you. I'm being bothered by foreign women at the moment. I don't know how they've got my details. Well, I mean, I do know how they've got my details. I'm all over the place. I'm a big tart, aren't I? Facebook pages, Facebook groups, this YouTube channel. And I'm being bothered quite a lot at the moment. But they're all talking to me in foreign, so I don't know what they're saying. One of them has even commented on a YouTube video tonight. No idea what it says. Now, I was late tonight, otherwise I was going to get a piece of software, download it from somewhere or other, and point it at the comment and the messages to see what the bloody hell they're talking to me about. They're probably calling me a tosser in Romanian, I imagine. Them toasty thing disappears on their own, says Stigbürt. I had one that went missing. Yeah, exactly. It'll be under the sink, Steve. That's where they all are. Simone says, I'm getting a repair quote for Coney, pronounced Connie. Sorry, I'll start again. I'm getting a repair quote for Connie's sills. Skick's back. Rob, yes, but after sales is something you will have to think about, or the courts will, says Skick with a warning tone in his voice. Absolute nonsense, Skick. Nobody has to worry about after sales at all. Pingu says, I have bought 3 cars from Busted and Moti and have survived so far. You have indeed, Pingu, and very grateful we are to you as well. So there you go, Skick, stick that in your pipe and smoke it. I must admit, says Joe, I can't remember the last time I had a toasty. Neither can anybody else. They're just making it up, Joe. Bad Book says, the World War II Museum near me does amazing toasted sandwiches. They also have an excellent Lancaster bomber stimulator. Why would you want to stimulate a Lancaster bomber? Oh well, each to their own, I suppose. Toasted sandwiches are so 1970s. God, you were telling me next, they've got a panini grill. Absolute flim-flam. That's what it is. Ross asks, do you need a trader's license to sell the cars? At what point do you become a trader? That's an interesting question, is that, Ross? And the honest answer is there is a set number of cars that you can sell within a set time frame and remain a private seller. And Mustard and I are very much within that. Video title, Twilight Zone. And that's from Mike, and remarkably, he doesn't call me a tosser in it. He must be feeling ill. Simone is up to 135 quid towards the welder. And Skik says, if I were you, Boat, I would have a talk to CWW, I've got no idea who that is, or Chop's Garage. Well, obviously I do know James, I bought a car from him. Skik, let me ask you a question. Right, I don't know what job you do, but my profession throughout most of my adult life was, wait for it, car dealer, right? I owned a multi-million pound car dealership and auction house. That was my job throughout most of my adult life. Now, how likely do you think it is that I need to ask somebody else who runs a business much smaller than mine was about being a car dealer? Figure that one out for yourself, sir. But, well, let me know. What do you think? As somebody who ran a car dealership, a very, very large car dealership, the largest in the UK, that was known throughout the world and was televised throughout the world, and who ran very important auctions, how likely is it that I'm going to need to take advice from somebody with a small garage and a YouTube channel, no matter how worthy they might be? Stigbürt says, stream name, Boaty's Battered Sausage. Quite like that one. Joe says, my mum rescued a puffin the other day. Must have got washed in from Lundy Island. Gosh. I love puffins. And my favourite thing about a puffin is this. It's the name of a baby puffin. Now, I know you can cheat and Google this, but don't. Can any of you tell me, without Googling, what a baby puffin is called? And it's my term of affection for all of my singles community members. I call them the name of a baby puffin. Who knows what it is? Better than soggy, says Pingu. Another, and one from Black Lines. Internet Tiffany has a sausage. Mike says, Skik, you only need one customer to come back, and if you haven't given a warranty, you're in trouble. Trust me on that. Not necessarily, Mike. Obviously, if you're a trader, then you're subject to the Sale of Goods Act 1964. You're also subject to particular areas of law that pertain only and solely to motor traders. And there are also ways around that as well. But I'm not going to get into the minutiae of that, because I'm sure that most of you wouldn't be interested. Joe says there's a lady in our local area that goes around rescuing wildlife like Rob. Properly amazing people. And Blackline says Rob isn't wildlife. Another title. Chinese Madam Battered Boaty's Sausage. Well, that's way too near the truth to be funny. CWW, well, there is a tip for Boaty. Again, I don't know what CWW is. Unless every card is sold to trade, and they must have a real business to do so, says Mike. Mark on Motoring is here. That's a pleasure. Mark, have you been looking in the Facebook group where people have been singing your praises? You are a very appreciated YouTube channel. And as you know, I share their admiration. I think your videos are fantastic. I wish mine were as well produced as yours, but that's never going to happen. Black Lines is off. This is too steamy for him. Skik says, I remember a bird getting stuck behind the fire. I rang a gas fitter to take the fire out, and the bird survived. My girlfriend said, what a waste of money. Went off her instantly. Yeah, I would have too. Heartless cow, that one, Skik, says Simone. Barry says, this is the weirdest stuff I've ever heard. Oh dear. Where do we get to? Diddly do. I've got 2 panini toasters, says Mike. Well, that tells us all we need to know about Mike. I mean, having 1, you could kind of forgive that, but having 2, questionable, I would say. Highly questionable. Would you buy a car from somebody who had 2 panini toasters? And why do you have 2? Are they his and hers? Or are your panini posters like your cars? Do you have one to use when the other one breaks down? 2 panini toasters. That's what I'm going to call you now. 2 toaster Mike. Do I need a grilled panini and cheese toasty now, asks Adam. Mark says, I've on occasion been partial to a cheese toasty. I find any form of cooking stressful. Oh, Sophie's back. Hi, Boaty. Hello. Look. Simone says, I was looking at a toaster maker in Sainsbury's today, but it was ugly and looked very cheap. Well, was it cheap? And does a toasty maker need to look attractive, or does it need to do the job well? And why would you want one anyway? Have a word with somebody else. Have a word with a neighbour. They'll have one under the sink. How long have you lived in your maisonette? It's maisonette, isn't it? See, I remembered. I remember details, me. If you've lived there for less than 10 years, have a look under the sink. There's probably a toaster maker under there. Have a look right at the back where the off-tappy thing is for the water. Not really. Frank's back. Oh, Joe's got it, yeah. A baby puffin is indeed called a puffling. And puffling is one of my favourite words. And I, ever since I started singles, and even before when I ran the International Scrabble League, I called all of my members pufflings. I think it's a wonderful word. I love it. Skick says, but you had the dealership when Noah was a lad. Things have changed, Boat. And to be fair, to be entirely fair to you, Skick, I will acknowledge that. It is a while since I had the dealership, and the law probably has changed. So, yeah, I'll give you that. Fair point, well made. CWW, you massive tosser, names in the title. Oh, it's you, Mike. Oh, right. Oh, I didn't equate CCW with Classic Wheels Wales. CWW, sorry. Thank you, Boaty. Very kind, says Mike. I mean it. I think they're brilliant. How's your day been, Boaty? What you been up to? Asks Sophie. Yeah, today's been fine. It's been all right. Not massively productive. Oh, there's a brilliant folder update. That was amazing. That made the day worthwhile, all on its own. And that is in the daily diary, so you'll catch up with that. Hit that like button, you lazy tossers, says Pingu. And Mike says, CWW sells quality motors, unlike you pair of tossers selling scrap. How dare you, sir? You can't say that. We've all seen that bloody Capri that you sold James, for God's sake. I wouldn't want to put a magnet on any of those panels. Dear God. I can't believe I'm taking grief off a man whose idea of the height of sophistication is a Maestro van. Although I do actually like a Maestro van, to be fair. Where is Neil hiding, asked Sophie. He was here. Pingu says, 500 miles later, and the Codfather hasn't broken down yet. I didn't need Mustard's 6-minute warranty. Oh, the Codfather's doing well then. There's a nice card inside of the Codfather. I'm genuinely glad that you took it, Mike, because obviously you'll have the history now and you'll have gone through it. But, you know, that was a cared for and cherished car. And obviously Mustard and I picked it up from the most recent owners prior to us, and they were lovely people. And, you know, that's a car that really deserved a good home, and I can't wait to see what you do with it. And Joe agrees. The Codfather is... God. The Codfather is in good hands with Pingu. It is today. Neil says, Boaty, I've got my rota for next month. I'll send it over so you can have a look when we're both free. Oh, brilliant. That'll be cool. Pingu says, at least Busted and Moti only charge scrap prices for their scrap. Ah, yeah, Mike. See? Yeah, exactly. I'll buy you scrap from Mustard and Boaty. Everyone a quality vehicle. Oh, right, Barry's got to head out, bless him. Latest, guys, I imagine he's going to be off for work. It's going to be that time in the morning for him. God, and the hour's gone. Where has the time gone? What else did we need to talk about? I can't think of anything desperately pressing that I needed to tell you. Is there anything desperately that you would desperately feel the need to tell me before we bugger off? Because it is now just about hitting midnight. Good night, Jason, you massive, massive tosser. Oh, brilliant! I'm an elevated tosser. I am the supreme tosser, and I embrace that. Oh, the folder update, says Sophie. It's on the daily diary, my lovely. You'll catch it on that. I'm so ronery. I don't know what that means, Simone. I'm so ronery. No, not a clue. I need to go off and Google these messages that I'm getting from foreign type people. You know, I imagine it's just death threats or something like that. That's the kind of thing that I normally get. Go on, I will give you a very quick folder update. Save those of you who aren't channel members. Even though channel membership is now available from just 99p. This is the folder for Dick-a-Dum-Dum, Sir Richard Morris. And I won't go into details, but hold on. There has been some work. Things have happened in folder world. And I know that you're going to be as excited about that as I am. And another reason why you should always buy your cars from Busted and Moti, right? We care. We care enough to create a folder for that car where all of the car's paperwork will be placed, organised into sections and in chronological order. You don't get that sort of thing from that guy in that garage in deepest, darkest South Wales. I know. I bought a car for him. All the paperwork was just jammed haphazardly into a thing. It wasn't individually poly-pocketed in a leather folder. Don't worry about warranties and aftercare. You don't need to be worrying about that sort of thing. What you want is a car that comes with the service history, individually poly-pocketed and chronologically placed into a real or fake leather folder. And that is the kind of service that we are proud to provide to our, well, I was going to say our customers. We don't have customers. We have chums. God above. pre-loved death traps, says Stephen. We look forward to seeing you, Boaty. It's mutual, so can't wait to get you two up here, and we'll have a nice lunch. I'll cook you something nice, and we'll have a trip out in the peak, and it'll be grand. Any progress on Brian yet? Asked Pingu. No. No, unfortunately not, or at least not that Mustard has alerted me to. For those who don't know, Brian needs his arm replacing. A new arm has been bought. The garage went to take off the old arm and put on the new arm, and they can't get it off. There is an issue, and it needs what you call it? You know, that big cutty thing. It needs that big cutty thing cutting through it and getting rid of it. And then another bit of it needs to be welded back onto the subframe or something. And the garage next door couldn't do it. Well, the lads couldn't do it. The boss is going to have to do it. And the boss only works when he feels like it. And apparently he hasn't felt like it yet. I'm told it might help if I take him a case of beer. So I might do that on Monday. But I'm desperate to get Brian back because I'm effectively having to daily Shison, and I really don't like doing that. But no, Pingu, sadly, no updates there. Mark on Motoring says, I do like a nicely organised folder. I'm amazed that people don't, mate. It's one of the most important things to me with a car. If any of you come round here to Windy Bum, not only will I make you lunch, but I'll give you a guided tour of my car folders in my office space upstairs. And please be aware that if I say, would you like to come upstairs and have a look at my car folders, that's not a euphemism. That's all that I'm offering to show you. It's not an invitation to things of a potentially carnal nature. So don't worry or stroke get your hopes up, depending on where you stand on that sort of grinding off. That's the one, Joe. Yeah, that's the fellow. Many parts, says Pingu, have been ordered for the cod. He will be improved greatly. Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I genuinely care about that car, silly as that may sound. I don't know if it's fair to say that we only play about with cars that we care about, or that we come to care about the cars that we play about with. Probably a bit of both. I love how it's colourful in the folder. It is. Oh, hang on. Oh, right, that's a single thing that I'm being alerted to. You don't need to worry about that. I'll get a glass of wine, says Soph. Needs better... oh, right, Neil says, it needs letterboxing and the captive nut removing, then new nut welding in, then welding the subframe up. Yeah, I think they said something like that. I don't know anything about that sort of thing. I just know it needs doing. And I can't do it. And Mustard can't do it. And the lads in the garage can't do it. Oh, Neil, bless you. I'd have done that for you when I saw you in the yard, but we didn't have any welding wire. They like beer in Rossdale. They do like beer in Rossdale, says Pingu. Yeah, I'm learning that. Thank you, Neil. You did offer, and in a way, it's the thought that counts. And in another way, I wish we had some bloody welding wire. Joe says, has Derek sold? Haven't seen him in ages. Good question, Joe, and I'll answer that. And then I will bugger off and let you good people go. Derek hasn't sold yet, but we think that he will. Now, there was interest in Derek, which is why I took him back to the yard and stopped using him. Now, the person who is interested in Derek has dispatched somebody to inspect Derek on their behalf. And somebody who was dispatched to have a look on their behalf is somebody that many of you will know, because he has appeared on numerous of Captain Mustard's videos. Now, That inspection has now taken place, and the said inspector is returning to the potential buyer and advising them, yes, at that price you can buy that car. So we think Derek is probably sold, but he's not actually sold yet because he's still in the yard and we haven't got any money for him. But if he does go there, again, a bit like Pingu, he will be in good hands. And I think that's about it for tonight, isn't it, darlings? God, it really has flown. My neck is still so stiff. It doesn't seem to be getting any better. If anything, it's getting worse. And it's been weeks and weeks now. I really struggle to look at a junction, to look both ways. It's probably meningitis or something fatal, or my head's about to fall off. Anyway, let us all go to bed. Hang fire. I'll just sort the doings out. You know what's coming. You know it makes sense. Here we go. There we go, darlings. As always, thank you so much for your company tonight. It's never less than a pleasure, and it is certainly never a chore. So take great care of yourselves. Have a safe and peaceful night. Have the best day that you can tomorrow. And I can't wait to catch up with you again tomorrow night, same time, same place. Much love to you all. Sleep tight. Or have a good day.